The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Brought to you by Macy's Grocery Stores. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back in, everyone. Happy Sunday. If you've missed any part of the program, make sure to subscribe to the First and 12 podcast feed, a weekly look at Big 12 football. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you. And, Alex, we got no time to waste. We got to jump in to the Big 12 headlines.
12 headlines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The dozen storylines that shape this week of Big 12 football. Headline 1.
All right, Utah falls to Arizona last night at home. We talked about it in that first segment, Mitch. One of the things I was thinking, though, 23-10, kind of a blowout Utah-wise, just because Utah, you know, when it comes to the offensive stuff, if they're not beating the doors off you early, it's hard to come back, and they weren't able to do it. By the way, this is 2 years in a row now Arizona's beaten Utah. I cannot remember the last time we said something like that. So Arizona gets the win, and the Utes look very pedestrian, and they are all looking at the sidelines to see where number 7 is going to be. And frankly, I am too.
Yeah, Cam Rising once again missing in action. He was on the sidelines. Isaac Wilson goes 20 of 40 for 280 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 interceptions. It was a tough night for the true freshman as the Utes fall for the first time in Big 12 play.
Is Cam coming back after the bye week, Mitch? What do you think? Should we just start doing
You
Cam
got to
watch?
think he's got to. He has to.
He had the rib protector on. What are you doing putting a rib protector on? You're not going into a football game. The last 4 weeks he keeps putting it. It's like the best cosplay ever. Go out there on the field, not play quarterback. My heavens.
He needs to come back because when they come back from the bye, it's a road game, and it's at Arizona State. And, look, Arizona State's not spectacular, but they've given us a proof of concept that this team can win at home and play some pretty good football. So you can't just assume going on the road away from Salt Lake is going to get any better. So they need Cam. They need him in a hurry.
Headline 3, BYU avoiding that second half complete meltdown. Hangs on to win at Baylor. They improved to 5-0, Mitch. They've won the exact amount of games that they won last year, and we're 5 games into the season. RIP to those people who hit the button on the under before the season. The BYU Cougars are now at 5 wins. I'm interested to see what those rankings put them at here, Mitch, and the whole Big 12 should have their eyes planted firmly on those rankings too, because you could see a lot of teams on that thing, man.
And what's noteworthy too is BYU's gotten to a point where a win over Baylor doesn't feel like some monumental victory. You know, historically, BYU is always, any win over a power conference team was like, this is one of the biggest wins ever. Now this was just, they got in, they got out, but they were banged up in that game. You saw Connor Pay go out on a stretcher. He came back out on the field on crutches. Harrison Taggart got injured. Cody Epps got hurt. Waylon Lapuaho, he got hurt but came back, but still banged up. You want to know, maybe what happens after the adrenaline comes down. They didn't have L.J. Martin. They didn't have Sione Aimoa. This is a banged-up BYU football team. So 5-0, there's a lot of excitement, but personnel-wise, they're starting to dig into that depth. So maybe Kalani's got to dial up a formula for those sports scientists to get those guys healed quick.
Hey, if waking up at 6 a.m. worked, eating your Wheaties early worked, so might as well lean on those guys the rest of the way. Colorado shocks UCF. Not just beating them down in Orlando, but how about beating the doors off of a team that we assumed was going to roll? And I think you and I were planning on putting UCF pretty high up in the power rankings this week, and probably putting them pretty far up in the AP poll as well. I mean, my goodness, UCF gets absolutely embarrassed at home, and Colorado suddenly looking like that team that Prime has been talking about in the offseason. I think he's onto something there, Mitch.
He is, and Travis Hunter strikes the Heisman pose. He is looking brilliant. Kansas just downright terrible. They drop another game, this time to TCU, 1-4 on the season, 0-2 in Big 12 play. TCU scored 17 points in the final 17 minutes of action to pull away in Arrowhead Stadium and get the win.
Yeah, I don't know what Lance Leipold's thinking right now. He's probably looking around the room seeing who can I fire so I can keep my job this year for a minute. Kansas State, right back on track. Avery Johnson, 5 total touchdowns. He looked phenomenal. And they were in Manhattan, and they blew the doors off of Oklahoma State 42-20. And again, he acknowledged that they played terribly against BYU, but that got him focused for this week. And the Wildcats are back on track. And by the way, looking like an actual contender once again, especially when you see some of the losses at the top of the conference.
On the flip side, Oklahoma State, they are trending backward. And you know what? I like to think, Alex, we kind of were telling people, like you and I were, maybe it felt like we were taking crazy pills compared to the rest of college football. We were not sold on this Oklahoma State team because we saw the trends with that group last year. But yet everyone kind of anointed them that because they had the Doak Walker winner, the defending winner, that they were going to be a title contender. I was never sold. And, look, there's still a lot of football to be played, but the Pokes are 0-2 in Big 12 play. First time that's happened since Mike Gundy's first year as the head coach in 2005.
Yeah.
They're trending backwards.
Well, I'll just tell you right now, like your Big 12 chances are on life support. You know, even getting to a game, right? I mean, like that is to the championship game. You can't start off 0-2. We knew one of these teams was going to be 0-2, but to be 0-2 in that fashion as well, for Ollie Gordon to have 258 yards on the entire dang season so far, like that guy is not himself. And I don't know what to think about this Oklahoma State team. I do know that they're not going to be in the running for this Big 12 championship. And, yeah, you know what, Mitch? We did call it. I think we did call it. We're going to go ahead and pat ourselves on the back on that one. Iowa State, by the way, speaking of teams that should be at the top of that power poll, or at least close to, they cruised past Houston 20-0. It wasn't pretty by any means, but you shut somebody out, you absolutely deserve some praise. And Houston, by the way, that's 2 weeks in a row they haven't put a point on the board against anybody in the Big 12. I know it's Iowa State, but my heavens, between Cincinnati and Iowa State, Matt Campbell, now the winningest coach in Iowa State history. That's an awesome stat. 57th win. He passes Dan McCarney. You know what that means? You didn't have to win that many games to be the winningest coach in Iowa State history.
That's what I thought, too. Only 57 wins, and you're the all-time winningest coach?
Gosh, everybody gets you're the winningest coach. You're the winningest coach. Everybody is.
Texas Tech takes down Cincinnati in a shootout. Didn't think I'd say that about Cincinnati this year. 44-41. Taj Brooks for the Red Raiders runs for 172. Hey, Red Raiders playing some good football, 4-1 now.
Yeah, and Taj Brooks is legit. I mean, Taj Brooks, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens. I mean, I would say Mekhi Bernard, but the Utes took a hit last night and they didn't hand the ball off enough to him. But is Dave Aranda going to make it through the season, Mitch, at the head coach spot at Baylor? I think he will make it through the season. I don't know if people on his staff are going to. I don't think he's going to make it after the season, though. How many years are we going to say he's going to be on the hot seat?
Yeah, I think this is a move where Baylor would be wise to get a head start on moving on, because you just know what the end is going to be. And why not do it before November and get your ducks in a row, get your big board ready so you can go and get the coaching candidate to lead Baylor football, because you get around that program. There's money. There's resources. There's facilities. And they've got some individual talent. But clearly the coaching, the messaging is just not hitting with that team. They were so flat. That stadium was asleep for that game. So Dave Aranda, he's lost the people. And then finally,
I was going to ask you, though.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, though. Jay Hill at Baylor? I'm just throwing it out there just to stir the pot. It's a Sunday.
You know what?
I didn't want you to be totally relaxed on a Sunday, okay?
I didn't think about that, but you know what? That makes some sense.
Come on, man.
I don't think it'd be –
they'd at least be looking at it.
But then you wonder, would they go
Another
opposite
defensive
of what they
coach?
hired previously?
Right.
A DC. So,
you're
but
right.
still, I think Jay Hill's got a higher ceiling than someone like Aranda. And then finally, will Lance Leipold fire Jeff Grimes after 1 year?
Probably,
I think he needs
right?
to. I think he probably needs to fire him now.
Oh, wow. All right. There you go. There are your 12 headlines out of the Big 12. It is 1st and 12. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper. We're going to come back and give you our Big 12 sound roundup, the biggest bites from across the conference. Coach Prime, Coach Aranda, speaking of, and Coach Leipold. Everybody with something to say on some splaining to do on wins and losses. Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone and 102.7 FM KSL News Radio. Stay with us.